You may have heard stories about a guy with 1 or 2 Yandere girls chasing him, but this guy is different. He has managed to attract 9 Yandere girls who are willing to go to great lengths just to please their master. You might think he achieved this with his charm, but I can't confirm that. His charisma could barely catch the attention of a fraud. Apparently, these girls like plain boys, and he is the definition of someone utterly boring. At the guild, Crow sits at his desk, reading the news. The report is about the Nightmare Guild, and as he turns the page, it focuses on the guild's immense popularity and its members' undeniable allure. Crow grows frustrated as he reads the public's comments. Sighing, Fel, who is making coffee, asks if something is troubling him. Crow admits Fel is right. She advises him to confide in her, assuring him that she would do anything for his sake. Her name is Fel Souls, ranked 4th in the Nightmare Guild. Hypothetically, Crow inquires her what she would do if he announced that he was leaving the guild. Startled by his words, she questions if that means he really intends to leave them. Crow confirms it. In response, Fel declares that if he were to do such a thing, she would die, dramatically placing a knife against her neck. Crow is stunned, urging her to stop and reminding her that Fel should cherish her life. Crow pleads with her to put the knife down. She complies but reveals that she cannot, as her life belongs to him. She had given it to him, and if Crow no longer desires it, then it is only natural for Fel to die. This revelation shocks him. Crow had never intended to hold anyone's life in his hands. At that moment, Yuma tugs at his clothes and calls him Nini. He notices Yuma and inquires what is wrong. With a teary expression, she asks if Crow is truly leaving the world. Her name is Yuma Lumafagla, ranked 1st in the guild. Crow assures her it was merely hypothetical, but Yuma insists that even if it were only a possibility, she does not want him to leave. Clinging tightly to Crow, Luma begins to cry, repeatedly murmuring "don't wanna" while shaking her head. Her ponytails whip against him, and Crow tells her it hurts. Apologizing, he admits it was his fault and promises never to joke about such things again. Yuma questions if he is truly being honest, and Crow reassures Yuma that he is. Yuma gives him a deathly glare, warning him never to lie or abandon her like her father did. Fel chuckles, commenting that Yuma enjoys being spoiled. Crow, unsure if this is a problem he should simply ignore, pats Yuma's head. She smiles, content. Crow hopes that next time, when he is serious, they will understand he is not joking. Addressing everyone, Crow assures them that they needn't worry about the earlier conversation. It was only a joke. Turning to Lulu, he confirms that all 10 members are present, and they should begin the meeting. Lulu agrees. Her name is Lilicilla Knights, ranked 2nd in the guild. Lulu informs everyone that today's meeting is about a dungeon quest. Lofia, ranked 3rd, sighs and questions if it concerns the rumored goblin nest. Almeria, ranked 7th, flusteredly exclaims that goblins are smelly, disgusting creatures and enemies of women. Garga, ranked 8th, irritated, remarks that goblins are mere weaklings and that dealing with them is beneath him. Lulu explains that they have information suggesting the goblins have amassed rare items. Hearing this, Crow raises his hand and volunteers to go. Lulu thanks him and inquires who else will accompany him. Everyone immediately raises their hands. Lulu sighs, while Crow, confused, wonders why they are so concerned. He could easily handle the goblins alone. As Crow ponders this, Horus, ranked 8th alongside Garga, kneels before him and declares that his loyalty to Crow will undoubtedly bolster his master's strength. Crow replies that he can manage on his own, but Garga steps in, accusing Horus of being unfair. Garga claims that he, not Horus, should be the one to accompany Crow, as he is more deserving. Horus retorts, calling Garga a fool, and insists that he is far more worthy, promising to explain why. Crow hesitantly interjects, asking if they will even consult him on the matter. Horus confidently states that it is obvious the master wants him, while Garga asserts that he is the one Crow truly desires to join him. The two begin bickering. Crow, exasperated, takes a sip of coffee, only to see that they have caught on fire in their argument. Shocked, he spits out his drink. Both fall to the ground. Still arguing, Alicia Craze, ranked 6th in the guild, intervenes, stating that the two are being too noisy and deserve punishment. Crow thanks Alicia for stopping them, regardless of her method. Alicia demands praise, and he pats her head, making her smile. Alicia happily declares that she loves it when he treats her this way, causing the other girls to grow jealous and angry. Crow, hearing Alicia's confession, expresses his happiness, and Alicia responds by proclaiming her determination to become his wife. Crow warns her that becoming his wife will be a difficult path, but she resolutely states that she will accept everything about him, even his sexual desires, while placing a cherry in her mouth. Lulu grows jealous, and Crow tells Alicia that such matters will only happen when the time for marriage arrives. Lofia asks if she cannot fill the position, but Crow assumes Lofia is referring to the quest. Lofia clarifies that it is not about that, and, hugging him, she reveals her desire to become his wife. Lulu, brimming with anger, snaps her pencil. Blushing, Lofia adds that she is fine being his second wife. Crow, clearly worried, responds that he wants no part in adulterous affairs. Lofia assures him it is acceptable since they live in a polygamous society, and Crow, bewildered, questions if that is truly the case. Unable to take any more, Lulu slams her hand on the table and declares that she cannot approve of this. Everyone looks at her in confusion. Lulu continues, stating that she cannot believe Crow would turn into a sex-crazed man, and she expresses her disgust. Crow immediately reassures her that he would never become such a person. The group then decides they will conduct a thorough selection of members to join the quest. While Crow should wait in his room, Crow retreats to his room, sitting on the ground with his back against the wall. Crow feels a growing sense of gloom, once again contemplating quitting the guild. Ranked 10th, he is the weakest member, even though he is the leader. Crow reflects on how pathetic he is, thinking about the praise they lavished on him earlier. To Crow, it all feels undeserved. Crow reasons that this is natural, given that he is the weakest, unable to use even the cheat skills the goddess granted him. However, there is another, deeper reason for his desire to leave: his ugliness. He removes his mask, revealing the face he has always kept hidden, a source of deep insecurity. Even Crow's companions have never seen his true face, and, surrounded by that handsome and beautiful people, he feels that he does not belong. Lacking both talent and confidence, Crow questions whether he is truly fit to lead the world's greatest guild. Suddenly, there is a knock on his door, startling him. Crow quickly puts his mask back on. Alma, ranked 7th in the guild, asks if she can come in, and he allows her. She cheerfully announces that she was chosen to accompany him on the upcoming quest, referring to it playfully as a date. Crow, relieved that it is only Alma, calms his nerves, but she teases him, asking if his reaction was unkind. Flustered, she accuses him of treating her poorly. Crow, in response, explains that he only acted that way because he thought they were close. Hearing this, Alma brightens, asking if that means she is special to him. Crow confirms that Alma is right. They are friends of the same age. Alma, however, is taken aback by this and becomes gloomy. Crow then notices Lafia, ranked 5th, sitting at the table. He inquires if Alma is the only one accompanying him, and Alma confirms this. Crow calls out to Lafia, who nervously apologizes for her sister's earlier behavior. Crow assures her not to worry, acknowledging that Lafia has always been like that. Crow then asks if Lafia would like to join him in the dungeon quest. Alma, shocked, asks why he is choosing Lafia as well. Crow explains that although Lafia raised her hand, she did not say much during the meeting. Lafia is touched that Crow noticed her actions so closely. He tells her that, like Alma, Lafia is also his friend of the same age. However, this depresses her, as she had been thinking too highly of herself. Crow, seeing her reaction, tells Lafia that she is being too hard on herself, that Crow questions if it wouldn't be reassuring for Lafia to come along, as he finds her reliable and had hoped she would join them. Blushing, Lafia admits that Crow is not wrong and agrees to accompany them. Crow informs them that the three of them will head to the dungeon together, and they depart. The remaining members remain silent, with Yuma voicing her concern that Crow might be planning to leave the guild. This revelation shocks everyone. Lulu tries to say something, but Ollie interrupts, telling Yuma not to worry, as Crow will marry her, making Yuma their adopted daughter. Ollie adds that they are all in this together, and they will solve this as a group. Lulu sighs, remarking that Crow must have his reasons, and there is no way Ollie's solution is the answer. Fell, meanwhile, is grateful that Crow is oblivious to the affection the others have for him, wondering whether that is a blessing or a curse. Lofia, addressing Ollie, declares that she will make her mad. In a cold tone, Horace warns Lofia not to lead Crow down a path of indecency. Stunned, Lofia coldly replies that it cannot be helped. Everyone in the guild loves Crow very much. Garga, unbothered, inquires what is wrong with everyone liking Crow, questioning whether that is not a good thing. Ollie retorts that Garga simply cannot understand, and she tells him to be quiet. Lulu steps in, reminding everyone that Crow was only joking earlier, and as the sub-leader, Lulu will not allow any discord within the guild, asking everybody if they understand. Now the girl reflects on how Crow is such a peculiar person, cherished by all of them. Yet he seems completely unaware of their feelings. A memory from the past comes to Lulu's mind. It is revealed that this girl is a noble whose family was murdered, and the others laugh at her misfortune. She then reveals that Crow was the only one who reached out to Lulu when she had lost all hope for the world. Crow had done the same for all 9 of them, those who had been abandoned by the world. That is why Crow is their hope and light. Lulu concludes by declaring that this is the reason she will never, ever let Crow go, no matter what. This is the story of the ugly guild leader and the 9 Yandere girls who worship him. Upon arriving at the dungeon, the 3 who went on the mission are immediately met by a group of goblins. Alma, eager to impress, confidently tells Crow to watch her and charges forward, killing the goblins swiftly. As Alma finishes, she calls out for Crow to witness her greatness. Crow, however, notes dryly that 2 of the goblins manage to escape, which frustrates Alma. Lafia steps in, reassuring him that she took care of the goblins that fled. Crow thanks her, acknowledging that she's been a great help. Lafia, with a smile, tells him to leave the task to her. She will kill every bit of garbage and every disgusting thing in the dungeon. Crow, slightly unsettled, thanks her. Meanwhile, the other girls look at him with a face that asks for something. The boy inquires what she wants. In an icy tone, Alma questions why Crow didn't praise her for her efforts. Alma accuses him of always treating her like a joke, as if he's constantly making fun of her. Alma demands that Crow pat her head, claiming that words alone aren't enough to soothe her and make her feel appreciated. Crow, baffled by her instability, tells Alma that he doesn't want to. Then, Lafia chimes in, demanding if he could pat her head as well. Awkwardly, he reminds them that right now they are in the middle of a dungeon, and perhaps now isn't the best time for head patting. But seeing their hopeful expressions, Crow sighs and relents, offering to pat both their heads. Alma and Lafia light up with happiness. Suddenly, a scream pierces the air. It's a woman's scream. Alarmed, the trio hurries to investigate. Crow quickly finds the source, a terrified girl, her eyes wide with fear as she desperately calls out for help. As she is being approached, the girl is losing no time in telling Crow that her companions are under attack. Crow steps forward, calm yet reassuring. Crow tells the girl that everything will be fine and urges her to calm down. Crow explains that they are adventurers who responded to the guild's request and promises to escort her safely into town. The girl, visibly relieved, clings to his hand, thanking him profusely. She asks if it's really true, and Crow confirms it, adding that he has two reliable companions with him. She breathes a sigh of relief, convinced that she will be saved now. But before Crow can say anything further, Alma steps forward with cold fury in her eyes. Without hesitation, she drives her spear through the girl. Alma glares, her voice icy, as she declares that the girl should never have touched him with her dirty hands. Alma asks the girl mockingly if she actually thinks she will help her, finding it utterly absurd. Alma adds how dare she interrupt their enjoyable moment. The girl, frightened, inquires what Alma is talking about, but Alma doesn't respond and moves forward, ready to finish her off. Crow quickly steps in, stopping Alma. She looks at him with confusion, but Crow reminds her that he has told her repeatedly not to kill targets randomly. They are adventurers, not murderers. Crow then turns to the girl, apologizing, revealing that he had deliberately fallen into her trap in hopes of solving things peacefully. He asks if she regularly hunts adventurers in this manner, and then accuses her of being a member of the notorious antisocial guild, Wild Hunter, and she is a goblin tamer. The girl, now furious, yells at Crow, calling him a bastard for deceiving her. She drinks a potion and taunts them, saying that even if they capture her, it won't stop the shinogi. As she speaks, goblins begin to surround them, leaving Crow stunned. Alma expresses her disgust, and she tells them to surrender, claiming that she has hundreds of goblin troops within the dungeon. She threatens to kill them, take their treasures, and use their corpses as fertilizer for the goblins. Suddenly, Lafia appears, wielding her dual holy swords, Excalibur, and swiftly dispatches the surrounding goblins. The tamer stands dumbfounded as Lafia sneers, calling it absolutely disgusting and demanding that the tamer die. Panicked, the goblin tamer orders her goblins not to be afraid and commands them to charge. Alma steps forward, her spear, Gungnir, piercing through them with ease. The goblin tamer watches in horror, unable to comprehend how her strongest goblins are being slaughtered. She finally notices the weapons, Excalibur and Gungnir, and recognizes them as top-tier equipment from the mythology class. She exclaims in disbelief, how do ordinary adventurers like them possess such legendary weapons? Crow steps in, revealing that he created those weapons, and explains that his unique ability, Create, was granted to him by the goddess when he died. It allows him to bring anything from his imagination to life. With the knowledge Crow has from games and manga, he can craft rare, artifact-level equipment in this world. The goblin tamer stammers in shock, calling his ability far more unfair than her goblins. Crow, unfazed, tells her it would be better if she simply surrendered. As Crow says this, he creates another weapon. The tamer, cursing under her breath, watches intently, wondering what kind of powerful weapon it will be this time. Crow conjures a black sword, and she stands dumbfounded. As she notices the aura surrounding the weapon, a wicked smile forms on her face. She now believes she has found Crow's weakness. Although Crow has the ability to forge overpowered weapons, he cannot wield them himself. Instead, he gives them to his companions for battle, all while keeping his own presence hidden. Alma and Lofia fix their gaze on the enemy, and she orders her goblins to focus their attacks solely on Crow. The goblins charge at him, but Crow swiftly kills them all without hesitation. Crow remarks, almost nonchalantly, that while his weapon may be outdated, fighting mere goblins poses no challenge to him. Frightened, she orders her goblins to retreat, realizing there is no point in continuing the battle. She attempts to flee, but Lofia and Alma strike, severing both her arms. Her screams echo through the air as she curses them in agony. Both Lofia and Alma look down at her with murderous intent. Alma asks if it is acceptable to kill her, but Crow reminds her that killing is forbidden. Alma then clarifies if it would be fine as long as the act doesn't result in death, to which Crow consents. Lofia inquires if the same applies to her. They proceed to torture the woman, their actions deliberate and merciless. Lofia recalls how Crow had saved her and her sister from the abuse of their violent father, calling Crow a noble man for accepting someone as slow and foolish as her. Lafia demands that the enemy woman show her regret quickly for daring to harm such a noble person. Alma, too, speaks of Crow's virtues, describing him as the prince who opened her eyes to the exploitation she had suffered at the hands of a man who verbally and physically abused her. Out of respect for Crow's request, she refrains from killing the woman, but makes it clear that forgiveness will not be granted for belittling Crow. Both Alma and Lofia laugh madly as they continue their cruelty. After some time, they finish, their expressions now content. Alma remarks how satisfying it was to stab her, and Lofia agrees, pleased with how they have forced the woman to repent for hurting Crow. Crow, observing the scene, glances at the body bag. Though the quest is technically complete, he reflects on the troubling nature of the guild. Crow acknowledges that the real problem lies with him. He is the only one who has sustained injury during the mission, thus lowering the guild's overall performance. Crow wonders if he can simply let the matter slide. Most importantly, as the girls call out to him and offer their bloodied hands, he represses a smile. Deep down, Crow knows that it would be better for him to leave this guild. Sometime later, at the guild house Western Frontier, someone is lecturing Crow, telling the boy to put himself in the shoes of those who have to deal with the aftermath of his actions. Hearing this, Crow is a little confused, questioning if there is something he messed up. Apparently, there is an issue with the case of the goblin tamer that he had captured. That person is suffering from severe PTSD, and they could not make many reports. That woman turned into a rotten fruit, but with a bag on her head, those heat producers could keep you warm during cold nights. However, this is not an issue that happened for the first time. Always is captured like that. But the ones who are really doing that are his Yander party members, not this gloomy guy. Today he was called for another matter. And when a man in front of Crow is about to reveal what that is, he questions the presence of those two ladies walking beside the protagonist. One of them is the vice leader, and the other one is the maid. There is a quest this man desires to contract privately with Crow. And when entering a room, a guy with some missing chromosomes is drinking tea while showing off an arrogant attitude. Apparently, this guy is named Viscount Rye, and he is the actual quest client. Apparently, the quest in question is about finding a missing person. Hearing that, the two ladies sitting beside Crow, without losing any time, decline it, while the boy desires to hear more about it. Having a mission to search for a missing person is rather suspicious. Making remarks on how this kind of issue should be resolved by the authorities and being asked in this kind of closed room makes everything even more suspicious. Sending Crow on a quest like this is out of the question. The two men, hearing those things, directly start scolding Crow, suggesting his women are impolite. And more than that, they should not be so arrogant. They are just adventurers. If Viscount desired, he could put an end to their occupation anytime. Crow, despite having two amazing women beside him, trembles in fear, telling Viscount he should not do that. Moving on to the explanation, they find out the person missing should be in a place where any man dreams to visit at least once in their lifetime. A place where no matter how broke you are, fugly, or even how many fingers you have, all that matters is having good wood in the morning, and someone is going to take care of it, eating those babies faster than a cannibal at an orphanage buffet. This amazing place I'm speaking of is none other than the succubus country. This succubus country is a country in name only. It was actually a post town that developed as an autonomous city. That is where the Viscount's Purveyor Merchant Guild is located. The same place where Devon Trading Company's 40 members have disappeared. Hearing about that city, one of the innocent girls wonders what the Viscount is doing in the city where Inma's live. Another one informs everyone about the legend where the head of the city took an Inma as his wife. And after that, the population of the city rapidly increased, making that place full of Inmas, giving everyone who lives there a good life full of pleasure and no stress. What I give to live in such a city. In other words, a city designed as a playground for adults. Hearing all that, the girls start having a dispute, exclaiming loudly they won't let Crow adventure in such a place since it is really dangerous. If something were to happen to Crow, they would declare war and eliminate Inmas from this world. Crow, the goofy boy he is, believes the girls are just joking, but they only give him a smile and suggest turning down the request. Hearing everybody have a bad opinion about the Inmas and their desire not to take on the quest, Crow takes out a note and starts mentioning some stuff about the succubus country, such as how they are famous for their unique culture, like the food, clothing, and the most important one that makes everybody change their mind, the cosmetics and beauty salons. Without losing a second, ready to depart, they vow to protect Crow in this expedition. However, they look like they are in only for the good time. Another man that is in their guild suggests he should tag along. Yet every woman believes he is just a perv and starts yelling at the poor man who does not understand what he did wrong. This is the perfect example of how women react whenever I try to speak with them, only that I end up with a headache and a very strong pain in the ass. Once they arrive in the succubus country, this place is so shiny and the smell of happiness is so strong you could beat your child. Having the two men beside Crow at the guild, the boy knows they cannot leave the guild empty, and now it's time for them to start working. Therefore, they should split up and start investigating. They made the groups by drawing some lots and used some earrings to stay in contact at all times. Not long after their entrance in the city, someone is informing a person about the adventurers who just entered their town, believing those are spies sent by the Viscount. When suggesting if they should capture the adventurers, that person says that everyone who comes here shall be treated equally as a customer. However, if they find something about the Devon Company, that is not going to be the case anymore. This city is a paradise for the Inmas, and anyone who dares disturb the peace won't be forgiven. Beat me with a Bible and step on my pride, because this succubus queen seems like a dominant mommy that would squeeze even the last drop out of a toothpaste tube. Inside a cavern, Crow and Lofia are enjoying some delicious food at a touristic spot. The girl seems to be so absorbed into it, believing it tastes so good because Crow is by her side. Looking at her, the boy believes she might have forgotten the real reason they are here. For a few days, they've been walking around but got no information. Therefore, today he thinks of going back to the streets. Around a corner, someone keeps on watching them, but they don't seem to notice. Until they walk around, observing that this looks like a normal city, and they will find some clues soon. Right then, someone covered with a blanket passes by the boy. Without wasting a second, Lofia takes her to the ground, pointing the sword towards her face. Apparently, the girl was trying to do something to Crow, and seeing that, she activated Yandere mode, looking at the small girl with killing intent. Since they are in the middle of the town, Crow tells her it would be bad if somebody sees her with a katana. However, the girl is way too deep in her thoughts and cannot hear Crow, until he moves a little closer and calls her once again. Calming down a little, Crow has a lot of things to ask her, but first, when they passed each other earlier, she gave him a paper. As the two start interrogating her, the girl says she did not target Crow, but instead wanted something else. Before she could tell them what, her collar activates, making her fall down on the ground, making Crow believe Lofia had done something, but it is not the case. In the next second, the succubus girl moves closer to Crow, telling him she got a bit hungry and, pointing her finger towards his lips, says she believes his vitality looks really appetizing. Before she could do anything else, Lofia jumps in with a slice of her sword and warns her not to lay a hand on Crow. Looking at it, apparently, the person who got cut was not the little succubus but somebody controlling her. Right after that, she can feel somebody with killing intent. Another 20 persons have surrounded them. Ready to create a massacre, Crow stops her, telling the girl she cannot kill anybody. Yet, that won't be a problem since Crow is the one asking. She easily manages to take them down by using the back of the sword. Thinking it over, Crow wonders if this is the little succubus doing, but she declines it. Therefore, Crow calls Lofia, and while grabbing the little succubus in his hand, tells her they should retreat for now. Seeing him carrying her like this just infuriates the woman, who most probably never had the chance to be held like that by him. While running away, some of the attackers jump towards Crow, who creates a fire sword and a wall of black fire. Wondering why the boy took the little succubus, Crow lets her know she is not allowed to contact anyone from now on. Most probably, the guild would not react well towards this girl. She seems to be wearing the collar of guilt, an item that kills the wearer if they go against their owner's will. The reason why she is suffering right now is not because she is hungry, but because she tried to give them that letter and the curse activated. Inside that letter, it was written, "Please save the succubus." At the outskirts of the forest, after the little succubus satisfied her hunger by sucking some blood from Crow's fingers, Lofia is about to end her life out of jealousy. She finally presents herself as Fui of the succubi, and as they already suspect, she has the collar of criminals around her neck. However, there is something she must tell them about. Yet Crow stops her, telling the girl not to worry about it. The only thing he wants to question is the state of the country. Apparently, the succubus country has been suffering from famine for the last few years. The only place that is doing okay is around the center. The standards of life are already poor, and taxes just keep going up. On top of that, the general discontent of the succubi is increasing. That is the reason why succubi start going after humans. This makes it clear why they were targeted by the Devon Trading Company. Those guys are trying to cover up what they have been doing, but this is not going to last too long, and if it is found out that succubi are harming all these people, most of them will end up dead. Seeing the girl in this condition, Crow grabs her by the hand, using those fingers of his that were checking cavities in her mouth moments ago, and says that he's going to help. He is not sure what he can do, but he is going to solve things as peacefully as possible. Meanwhile, inside the city, those who are following Crow and the succubus girl are checking every corner of the city furiously, but trying to calm down one specific woman that makes my hands shake as I'm feasting my eyes on her, tells everyone to calm down since this town is their territory, ready to send all the succubi available to find them. One of their teammates is being pushed to the ground, extremely hurt. 3 of Crow's Yandere women came to check since they can sense Crow's presence around here. And the reason they're not able to contact him must be this succubus. Realizing these girls must be together with Crow, the tasty-looking succubus woman enters a combat pose. However, looking at this Yandere, I can tell there is no way to fight against her, since she is worried about her brother and desires to have him back. Without losing time, she takes out a huge axe and smashes the ground. Within seconds, she defeats everybody around and starts crying for her master, who is gone. Everybody is surprised at how strong a child can be, but that is not over yet since another Yandere is about to go berserk mode, seeing Yuma crying. All of them decide there is no going back. They did not want to start a fight, but since they messed with their master, the Yandere girls decided it is time to go to war against the succubi. At the same time, Crow, outside the city, decides he is going to save Fui and the succubi. In a world where the standards of beauty are reversed, the ugly protagonist has fun with his enormous wives and starts milking cows.